So today we are going to the Tower of London. It's been on the list. We've been trying to get to it, and like every day it's like it just doesn't make it happen. But today we're here. The craziest thing is as soon as you come off the underground at the Tower Hill station, boom, Tower of London. It's raining a little bit. So this is day 5 in London and we've had no rain, but now the clouds are out and it's sprinkling all over us. So this gate right here is the Queen's Stairs, and from the river, this was the main entrance into the Tower of London. So this is the infamous Traitors' Gate. This is where the Tudors started bringing their prisoners into the castle. In the 1600s, it was officially called Traitors' Gate because whenever someone was convicted of treason, they were brought down the river and through this gate into the not-so-savory places of the castle. But it is a river entrance. It's really creepy down there. But also, right above it, it says St. Thomas Tower, 1280. So this part of the building was built in 1280. So that just kind of gives you a little bit of the history. We're not even in there yet. Lovely, thank you very much.
So we just walked in and you can start to see the layers and the depth of this castle. I've never been into a castle like this before. This is really neat. Hard to penetrate something like this if you're unwanted.
Oh yeah. So the legend has it, if the ravens ever leave the Tower of London, that the White Tower would crumble and the kingdom would fall. So they're kept in cages over here so they can't leave.
Crown jewels are just right over that hill right there. You can barely see them from here, but we'll get there. We're going to make our way around the whole place. But we got a tour to catch, so we better get going because we only got 15 minutes to get there.
So we saw the Traitors' Gate from the outside. This is the inside view of the Traitors' Gate. And let me tell you, most people that came through this gate didn't leave here alive. So over here in the moat area, they have planted a ton of wildflowers, and this is called Super Bloom. You can actually buy a ticket and walk through there, but it's for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee anniversary, which is in 2022. So one thing I think is really neat is walking through here, you can see all the different ages of the building. The bricks, different colors, the style is different, but they have named each area and dated it so you know where it came from. So for instance, the tower behind me is Byward Tower, and it was from 1280, and then this one over here is Middle Tower, also from 1280. So you can kind of look and see as the castle was built.
Okay, the tour is beginning.
I'm actually part of a bodyguard. There's 33 of us. We don't only just work here, but we live here as well. So for my friends, family and colleagues, welcome to our humble little home here in Old London Town. Right, the plan's going to do approximately a 1-hour guided tour where we can go for the fortress. I'm going to point out to you some of the more famous buildings and tell you a few stories along the way. Head was taken down and paid upon a soldier's pike, paraded through the streets of London, taken up towards the old London Bridge. Now clearly, I'm pointing in that direction and not towards that bridge over there, because that bridge is called
Tower Bridge.
You'll be surprised how many people get that wrong. The old London Bridge, the only bridge across the River Thames in those days. The head will be boiled, covered in tar, impaled upon a spike on that bridge to serve as a warning as what happens when you upset us peace-loving Englishmen. You lovely people, he said, my coattails, as we now move rapidly, which is a military term for quickly, next part of the tour. Are we ready? Yes! Now, a lot of people come here each and every day thinking all we did all day, every day, is lock people up, put them on the rack, and take their heads off. But actually, from the year 1100 to 1952, we only kept around about 3,000 prisoners here at the Tower of London. I'm sure you agree with me, not that many. And out of those 3,000, approximately 300 were executed. Again, not that many. But please remember the tower was and still is a working royal palace. It, however, became somewhere where famous prisoners were held. So, how did it work? Well, firstly, if you were somebody of importance to this nation, considered to be a traitor, the trials usually took place further up the river at Westminster Hall. If you were found guilty of high treason, they'll place you to a barge under an armed escort. Bringing you down the River Thames, you to pass on the old London Bridge. If you dared to look up, were seen heads of other traitors on display. Pass through these grim gates with the prince walking up these steps and met right here by an escort of Yeomen Warders, who will then take the prisoner through the archway over there to await their fate. First prisoner to come through these gates actually is the anniversary today. 717 years ago, the famous Scottish warlord, Sir William Wallace, came through these gates, brought to the tower under the protection of the uncle, Richard, Duke of Gloucester. Gloucester had another title, and that was Lord Protector, which meant his duty to ensure his nephew got to Westminster Abbey in one piece. As the boys settled into their new accommodation, they were seen often playing in and around this area. As the weeks moved from summer to autumn, those two boys were never seen alive ever again. Millions of words have been written about that story. There's also lots of theories of who could have been responsible for the disappearance of those two lads. But the number one name that continues to rise to the top is indeed their uncle, Richard. During my 8 years of being a Yeomen Warder at the Tower, I've been asked on many occasions, have I seen or do I believe in ghosts? My simple answer is, no I haven't, and no I don't, because my brain says to me such things do not exist. And yet, I've stood here late tonight here on my own, and it's dark, and it is dank, and the wind is blowing through those gates. It does make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. If these walls could talk, I'm sure there's some stories to tell.
This is super interesting. They do a great job of putting this on too.
Oh yeah. Makes all the difference in the world when you got a good tour guide, and he is fantastic. He's loud, you can hear him, and he tells the story in an interesting way. Really cool. Enjoying the heck out of this.
Building here because of course this is the White Tower, and this is where it all began back in the year 1078. Remember, it was 12 years after the battle when orders for construction work started taking place. It actually took 20 years to build, but sadly William died during the construction phase, so he never got a chance to lay his eyes on his lasting legacy of Norman domination. Originally it was known as William's Norman Keep, but the locals came up with a really imaginative name for it, the Tower of London. But actually the official name of this building is called the White Tower because Henry III had it whitewashed in the 13th century. It stands 93 feet high, but obviously today we are surrounded by 21st century skyscrapers. But trust me, for hundreds of years, this was the dominating feature of the skyline here of London. Walls take with thickness, 15 feet at base, 11 feet at the top. At each corner stands a turret. If you look very carefully, at the top of each turret is a gold crown, beneath which is a weather vane displaying the royal standard. And this indicates to you that it stood very much to the ground of a working royal palace, although no longer a royal residency. What do you think happened on that floor? Come on, tell me.
Torture.
Torture! Actually, it was a wine cellar. It's a royal palace. Kings and queens needed somewhere to store their food and their booze. But actually, you are quite correct, because what they did do was remove the wine rack and replace a completely different type of rack. And if you was an unfortunate soul inside there, tied down to that device, literally be torn in two, no one would have heard your screams of anguish from those large, thick walls. Now, so I'm sure you're aware today we are no longer allowed to physically torture people here at the Tower of London. And on Sundays. But if you are excited by that kind of thing, literally on the left-hand side of the arch is the exhibition of torture. I thoroughly recommend you visit this building. After all, this is where our story starts. Enter the south side, climb the wooden staircase, halfway up, pause for a second, because there's a small arch. In there's a plaque which commemorates where those two skeletons were found during the reign of Charles II. As you transit through this building, you can see lots of suits of armour, weapons throughout the ages, and also other fascinating facts about the tower that I don't have time to cover during my guided tour. Still used today for the most senior officer of the Tower of London, known as the Constable of the Tower. Position goes all the way back to the year 1100. And actually for the last 200 odd years, that position's always gone to a senior general of the British Armed Forces. That shows you how important that role is, because they are the representative of the monarch here at the Tower of London. It's also been used to hold some very famous prisoners, one of which I'm going to quickly talk about, and that is, of course, Guy Fawkes, the man who tried to blow up the Houses of Parliament on the 5th of November, 1605. And some say the only man ever to enter Parliament with true intentions and the means to deliver what he promised to do. Let's not go there. Non-political organisation. Captured with the Yeomen Guard, an organisation that we still belong to. He was actually found with 36 barrels of gunpowder. There's no doubt about it, if he's successful, Parliament will take it off the map. Taken to that building and questioned as to why he was trying to assassinate James I and the members of Parliament. Being a highly trained soldier, he refused to answer any questions that were put to him. And therefore the King ordered him to take from that building to the lower floor of the White Tower. We actually ordered, use the gentler forms of torture first. I have no idea what the gentler forms of torture are, but he did end up on that rack. And after 4 days, this man was physically and mentally broken. Confessed to all, and Guy Fawkes remained in that gang and takes the old palace yard of Westminster. When January of 1606, they were all hanged, drawn and quartered. Here's a very polite reminder. The soldiers you see on duty here today are from the same regiment who are guarding Buckingham Palace and Windsor Castle. Yes, they're wearing their ceremonial uniforms, but are also highly trained infantry fighting soldiers of the British Armed Forces, ready to deploy wherever our country sends them.
So we just finished our tour. If you get entrance to the Tower of London, the tour is free. So you can explore on your own, or you can take the tour from the Yeomen Warder. I hope I said that right. Very informative, very interesting. The guy had a lot of inflection to his stories.
He did an excellent job.
He
Made
did.
It really fun.
Yeah, he made it even more
Loud,
interesting.
You can understand him, which is rare.
Yeah. So the tour ends right here at the Chapel of St. Peter's, and you hear the story of the executions that were here at the Tower of London, and this is Tower Green. And there were 3 very important queens that were executed here at Tower of London: Queen Anne Boleyn, Queen Catherine Howard, and Lady Jane Grey. So all of their bodies are interred right here, along with other famous traitors. And it's just really interesting, the history that happened right here where we're standing. I mean, that building, the White Tower, was built, finished in 1100. Started in 1078, finished in 1100, and then you just see the layers upon layers of history on top of that. It's really cool. And this building behind me is where the crown jewels are held, and you'll see there's a massive queue to get inside of it, but we cannot film in there, so we can't take you inside. So the building behind me is the White Tower. When it was first built, this was called the Tower of London. And then as more and more buildings were built, it became the centerpiece, and one of the kings, don't remember which one, whitewashed it, and then it was renamed the White Tower. But this one was built in 1100. There are 204 steps inside, so we are about to get our workout on. So right here is where they found the bodies of the 2 princes in the tower. They were in a trunk buried underneath the stairs. I'm just standing here in the doorway enjoying the breeze for a second coming off the river.
My goodness, King Henry VIII, he was packing the goods.
So this chamber we're in right now at the top of the White Tower, when this was built, was the main apartment chamber. So bedroom, living room area for the king and queen. Through the Normans and the Plantagenets, this was used as a palace. When the Tudors came in, it was just converted to an armory, and the Tudors built their own palaces. But it even has its own bathroom. So this is pretty cool. This sign says that this fireplace is one of the oldest wall fireplaces in England. That's pretty cool.
Pretty crazy to think that that's the original block, or one of the original blocks where they carried out the executions. You can see the cuts and the wedges in it. Pretty crazy. This is obviously the armory, or they call the storehouse. So this is what they call the rack. This is where they bound you to it, and then they rip you apart.
Very slowly.
Very, very slowly.
They have the outline of the body right there. Could you imagine being squished in this, and they slowly just
crush
pull that vise together until you're crushed. Okay, final thoughts. Planned plenty of time for this. We were here 3 hours and didn't see all of the grounds. So if you really want to see everything, plan for longer than 3 hours. Definitely do the guided tour. That was a highlight of being here, actually hearing someone tell the stories, tell the history, someone who lives here, who really knows everything. That was really cool. Just walking through and seeing the different architecture, the different buildings, I think is really, really neat.
Yep, that was neat. Really, really neat. They have concession. They have little like ice cream stands. They have coffee stands, juice stands inside there. They have a whole cafe where you can actually go sit down and eat. Cold drinks, tea, water, you name it, they got it. So it's definitely set up to spend the day in here. Really, really interesting and a fun way to spend the day for sure. Definitely recommend coming and seeing the Tower of London. And that's coming from a non-history buff. I appreciate it, I respect it, but I'm a non-history buff. And that was still pretty cool. So we are just taking a little pause for the cause. We just finished up with the Tower of London, toured that for a couple of hours. That was awesome. But we're sitting here at the base of the Tower Bridge, and there's this little kiosk here where you can stop off and get a cocktail, and they got some tables and chairs right here on the Thames River, and we're just sitting back and waiting for the sun to go down with a spectacular view of the Tower Bridge, watching all the hop-on and hop-off buses, the famous red London buses going across it. It's quite a spectacle. Pretty beautiful. The river's down a bit, and you can see people like out on the rock banks, kind of right out on the river. You live in a huge city when you have Uber boats. There are literally boats that are Ubers. Yep. Taxi on wherever you want to go by water on an Uber boat.
So we've been sitting down below the bridge, just sitting by the river, watching and listening and watching the sunset. It's been very nice. The sun's starting to set now, and we're walking across Tower Bridge. It is just so cool when you stand here and look up at the building parts of it, and just, I think it's awesome.
All right, so this is pretty cool. Sunset on the Tower Bridge over the Thames River. Not a bad way to bring it in for a landing. Not a bad way to end the day. Oh, there's a spot. There goes Alicia to find her spot. Oh, this is so pretty.
It is. So it's really, really kind of fascinating how you watch the city of London grow. So right to the left of us is the Tower of London, which, started to be built in 1078. And then you look on the other side of the river, and there's these brand new skyscrapers.
State of the art.
It's just...
the old and the new.
It's fascinating.
All wrapped up together. It's really, London is just amazing like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a big city, but there's so much culture here. Like, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, the best city we've ever... This is the coolest place we've ever been.
We're loving it.
We've been to some cool places, you guys know. This is the coolest place, the coolest city, for sure. So now, Elisa's like, well, now we have to go to New York. And I didn't want to go to New York because all the people and the congestion, I don't like that.
I think he can handle it now, though. We'll see.
But the difference is New York's got the really tall skyscrapers. This has got a lot of the old architecture. They're not really tall, so I can see the sky line. And that's a big difference for me, but we'll see, maybe. So I want to show you guys this. Look, if you can see down there, all those little glass domes, you can book those to have dinner in them. There's a little glass dome. There's a nice little table with white tablecloths and chairs all around it, candlelit, the whole 9 yards. You can rent those out and have dinner right here on the Thames River. Pretty neat.
And this is what it looks like to walk across Tower Bridge. so awesome about London. The Tower of London is right there, old, next to the brand new city. It's just like culture shock if you really think about it. I mean, could you imagine the people that lived in the Tower of London back in the 11 and 1200s, if they ever could imagine London looking like that today? So the Tower of London looks dwarfed today because of all these skyscrapers, but when it was built, that was by far the highest point in the city, and you could see the White Tower from far and away. But now it looks so small next to all these big skyscrapers. And now it is 8:30 p.m. and it's been like 8 hours since lunch, so it's time to go find something for dinner. And I just checked the Maps app for restaurants nearby, and there's a couple of places that look really good in walking distance. We are at the Butler's Wharf Chop House, sitting on the Thames River looking up at Tower Bridge, and this is where we're having dinner tonight. I mean, this is like the most amazing view I think we've ever had for dinner. I've got the good view. Jason's staring just at me.
See how she treats me.
But, well, no, he loves me, so he gave me the good view. But I've got the view of the bridge in the city. So I got the barbecue chicken, and this is not really what I was expecting. It looks really, really good. So the chicken is bone on. The way he described it, I thought it was like a chicken breast that was sliced, but this is like a very small chicken, and it's like the whole chicken that's been cut in half and laid out on the plate. So we've got chicken, we've got a little side salad, and then I have mashed potatoes for my side.
All right, so I got the 12-ounce ribeye. I got a side of mushrooms that I haven't gotten yet, but there are some. Wait, nope, this is the mushrooms right here. They're cut different. They look like roasted potatoes, but God, those are delicious. And then we have the side of mashed potatoes that are beautifully fanned out.
I know, right? The presentation's fabulous.
The steak is definitely tender, I can tell. It's a beautiful little meat pillow there. So let's dig in.
So I've got the chicken. There goes a little side pot of barbecue sauce. That's really good. So that sauce almost tastes like a red wine reduction barbecue sauce. It's very, very flavorful. And the chicken is just moist and just comes right off the bone. Really good. I'm trying my mashed potatoes. I'm a sucker for mashed potatoes. Yeah, this is going to be a good meal.
The steak is delicious. Those mushrooms are like big old thick chunks of mushroom, and they're flavored like perfectly. Very delicious. That was a good, nice, tender steak. Enjoyed that ribeye. So I'd take a bite of that ribeye and then a bite of those mushrooms, and that was just a great bite. Enjoyed that meal. But what I enjoyed more was the view that we have behind us.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, but we are all done, and I think we're gonna go walk around, head back to the hotel.
We're on the other side of town right now.
I know it. We got a lot of walking to do.
I'm full. It was really good. So even like that side salad had like a spicy vinaigrette dressing, and it was delicious. The chicken was on the bone, but it was weird. It's like the breast had been cut off the bone, but still had the wing attached. So the breast was really good to eat because all you had to do was slice into it. And a bite of the mashed potatoes with a bite of that chicken, delicious. Very, very good meal. But I agree with Jason. The best part of this meal was looking over there and seeing Tower Bridge and the city and the river and everything, like the sounds and everything of the city is just beautiful.
Okay, we are waiting for our chariot. We have booked a Thames River cruise, and we're just waiting for it to dock up so we can hop on that bad boy and cruise down the Thames. Should be here any minute, but the tide is high right now, We were able to see some of the pebbles of the beach last night when the tide was low. Can't see those anymore. Right over here at the Butler's Wharf is where we ate dinner last night. Had the awesome view of the Tower Bridge right here.
Take time, no rush.
Boundary to the 1 square mile of one of the smallest capital cities anywhere.
So we just got off the boat. We rode from Tower Bridge to Westminster. That was really fun. The only problem is it's super hot today. That's why the hair is gone. And we're gonna have like these little farmer's tans going on from right on the top of the boat. But the guide was really funny, and I wish we would have done this on day 1 or 2, because he pointed out some areas of London that we haven't been to that we would really love to go to, but today's our last day. So we're not sure if we're going to be able to make it or not, but me and Jason both made notes on our phones.
Yes, indeed. Definitely do yourself a favor. Like I pointed out to Elisa, this is something you want to do, like the Thames River cruise, on the first or second full day you're here, because they kind of give you some great little hot spots to go to, some of which they pointed out are, you know, hidden little gems and secrets. So definitely do that. We did not, and we're running out of time and probably aren't going to make some of those. But that was really fun. We picked the wrong day to wear jeans, though. It's the hottest day here in London so far. And whew, it's hot today. Well, good morning from London.
Good morning.
It's our last morning. And we picked a good morning to leave because it's raining outside those curtains a lot. And we've had stellar weather the whole time. But anyway, we have had a ball here in London. There's so much we didn't get to do, but there is a ton that we got to do that we didn't think we were going to get to do. So much culture, so much history here that we are definitely coming back because there's so much more we want to do.
Yeah, the original plan was to only spend 3 days in London and then go on to Bath and Brighton, but we just fell in love with London and said, no, we have to stay here.
Yeah.
And so we spent the whole 7 days here. We didn't have like a set plan if we're going to do this, this, this. We just kind of went with the flow, what we felt like doing for the day. And we got a lot done, but we probably only saw maybe this much of London.
Yeah.
and we were here for an entire week. So there's just a ton to do here. We had really good food. We went to some cool markets, did a lot of really neat things, saw a lot of history, learned how to ride the underground. Really like the underground, by the way.
Yeah, we did the Thames River tour. They pointed out a bunch of little hot spots, little gems and secrets that a lot of people don't know about that we definitely want to come back and see. Definitely recommend doing that early on in your trip. You'll get some great little bullet points of things you want to do early on, and you'll be able to get to those. Our sleep patterns were thrown off. We never could really recover, so we slept till like 11 o'clock every day, so we got late starts, so we didn't get a proper English breakfast. Definitely want to come back and get that. Our stupid diets get in the way of everything. So many puff pastries we want to come back and eat, but we ate a lot nonetheless. What a killer time we've had, but it's time to go. Well, that's a wrap for London, you guys. We are about to take off, get to the airport, and on to the next adventure. But if you are new to this channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button, make sure to hit that like button and the notification bell so you're notified of all our videos. We post 2 to 3 videos weekly. If you've been around for a while, tell a couple friends. We'd love to have you. So we'll see you down the road.
Bye.